Stoicism is perhaps the only philosophy created specifically for those living in the real world. In Stoicism, there are a few fundamental postulates. It reminds us of how unpredictable the world can be, how short our lives are, and how to be resilient, strong, and in control of ourselves. Ultimately, it emphasizes that the source of our dissatisfaction lies in our impulsive dependence on emotions rather than logic. Stoicism is not concerned with intricate theories of the cosmic order, but helps us overcome destructive emotions and act in accordance with what can be undertaken. It is designed for practical actions rather than endless debates and disputes. 1. Practice of misfortune. Seneca, who enjoyed immense wealth and influence as an advisor to Emperor Nero, suggested setting aside a certain number of days each month to practice poverty. Take a small amount of food, wear your worst clothing, leave the comfort and conveniences of your home. Confronting yourself with need, he said, ask the question, is this what I was so afraid of? It's important not to forget that this is an exercise, not just a rhetorical device. It's not merely thinking about misfortune, but actually living and experiencing it. Comfort is the worst form of slavery because you constantly fear that something or someone will take it away. However, if you can not only foresee but also practice misfortune, then vexing accidents will lose the power to ruin your life. Montaigne enjoyed an ancient game in which participants took turns holding a picture of a corpse in a coffin and proposed a toast. Drink and be merry, for when you die, you will look the same. Negative emotions, such as anxiety and fear, arise from uncertainty and very rarely from actual experience. Anyone who has given into such emotions knows how much energy they can consume. The solution is to do something about this ignorance. Get closer to those things and worst-case scenarios that you fear. Practice what you fear, whether in your imagination or in real life. Troubles that frighten you are almost always reversible or fleeting. 2. Perceptual training to avoid good and evil. Stoics had an exercise called flip the obstacle upside down. This was done to make it impossible not to practice the art of philosophy. Because if you can properly turn a problem on its head, every bad becomes a new source of good. Imagine trying to help someone, and they react without enthusiasm or simply refuse to cooperate. Instead of complicating your life by getting upset or angry, imagine that these people are actually directing you towards new virtues such as patience or understanding. Even an extreme event, like the death of a loved one, is your chance to demonstrate strength of spirit and resilience. Marcus Aurelius described it as follows: obstacle to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. One definition of entrepreneurs is that they leverage existing opportunities and even create them. For the Stoics, everything is an opportunity. A frustrating situation where your help goes unappreciated or the death of a loved one. None of these are opportunities in the conventional sense. They are obstacles. What the Stoic does is turn every obstacle into an opportunity. For practicing Stoics, there is nothing inherently good or bad. There is only perception. And you control your perception. You can choose what conclusions to draw based on the initial impression, e.g., X happened, greater than X happened, and now my life is over. And if your initial response to what happens is impassive and objective, you'll find that everything that occurs is simply an opportunity. 3. Remember that everything is ephemeral. Marcus Aurelius wrote a simple and effective reminder for himself to help regain perspective and maintain equilibrium. Think of all the years passed by in which you said to yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, and how the gods have again and again granted you periods of grace of which you have not availed yourself. It is time to realize that you are a member of the universe, that you are born of nature itself, and to know that a limit has been set to your time. Use every moment wisely to perceive your inner effulgence, or it will be gone and never more within your reach. It is important to note that passion here is not used in the modern sense as enthusiasm or caring about something. As explained by Don Robertson in his book, when Stoics discuss overcoming passions, they refer to irrational, unhealthy, and excessive desires and emotions. Anger is a good example. What is crucial to remember, and this is a key point, is that Stoics aim to replace these passions with healthy emotions, such as joy instead of excessive pleasure. Returning to the essence of this exercise, it's quite straightforward. Whoever you are, remember how small and insignificant you really are. And in doing so, remember how trivial most things and events surrounding us are. Remember that any achievements and successes can be ephemeral, and that your possession of them lasts only a moment. If everything is ephemeral, what matters then? The present moment matters. Being a good person and doing the right things right now, that's what matters to us, and that's what has always mattered to the Stoics. Returning to Alexander the Great, who conquered the entire known world at that time and named cities after himself. This is known to all. However, the Stoics reminded that once, while intoxicated, Alexander fought with his best friend Clytus and accidentally killed him. After that, he was so distraught that he couldn't eat or drink for 3 days. Sophists were summoned from all over Greece to see what they could do about his sorrow, but all in vain. Is this a sign of a successful life? From a personal perspective, it doesn't matter much if your name is marked on the map if you lose perspective and harm those around you. Learn from Alexander's mistakes. Be humble, honest, and mindful. That's what you can do every day of your life. And you'll never have to fear someone taking it away from you, or, even worse, that it will enslave you. 4. View from above. Marcus Aurelius often engaged in the exercise known as the view from above or Plato's view. He encourages us to take a step back, reduce the scale, and see life from a higher perspective than our own. This exercise, encompassing the millions and millions of people, all the armies, farms, weddings, and divorces, births and deaths, prompts us to look into the future and, like the previous exercise, reminds us of how small we are. This reorients us, and as the Stoic scholar Pierre Hadot said, the view from above changes our evaluative judgments about things. Luxury, power, war, and the concerns of everyday life become simply laughable. Seeing how small we are in the grand scheme of things is just one part of the exercise. The second, more subtle aspect is to use what the Stoics call sympathy, or interconnectedness with all of humanity. As astronaut Edgar Mitchell, one of the first to truly experience the real view from above, said, "In space, you instantly gain a global consciousness, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and an irresistible urge to do something about it. Step away from your own concerns and remind yourself of your duty to others. Look at everything with a Plato's view." 5. Memento mori. Meditate on your mortality. Let's prepare our minds as if we've come to the very end of life. Let's not postpone anything. Let's balance life's ledger every day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life every day never loses time. Seneca's quote above reminds us of memento mori, the ancient practice of contemplating mortality, dating back to Socrates, who said that the proper practice of philosophy is nothing other than dying and being dead. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." It was a reminder to himself to continue living a virtuous life now, rather than waiting for a suitable moment in the future. Contemplating your mortality is disheartening only if you miss the point. Stoics find this thought invigorating and humbling. It's no wonder that one of Seneca's biographies is titled "To Die Every Day." After all, it was Seneca who urged us to say to ourselves, "You may not wake up tomorrow when going to bed, and you may never wake up again upon waking up," as a reminder of our mortality. Or, as another Stoic, Epictetus, encouraged his students, keep death and exile before your eyes each day. Along with everything that seems terrible doing so, you'll never have a base thought, nor will you yearn for anything excessively. Use these reminders and reflect on them every day. Let them become the building blocks of a fulfilled life and help you not lose a single moment. Point 6. Journal. Epictetus, slave; Marcus Aurelius, an emperor; Seneca, an influential politician and playwright. These three vastly different individuals led completely different lives. However, despite these differences, they shared a common habit: journaling. In one form or another, each of them engaged in this practice. Whether it was Epictetus instructing his students that philosophy is something they should record day by day, and that through recording they must practice, or Seneca, who enjoyed writing his journal in the evenings. When darkness fell and his wife went to sleep, he wrote to a friend, "I review my whole day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by." Then he went to bed, noting that the sleep that follows this self-examination was particularly sweet. Marcus Aurelius was perhaps the most remarkable journalist, and we are fortunate that his works have survived for posterity, appropriately titled to himself. In Stoicism, the art of journaling is not merely keeping a diary. The daily practice itself is philosophy. It's preparing for the upcoming day, reflecting on the day that has passed, and reminding oneself of the wisdom learned from teachers, readings, and personal experiences. It's not enough to hear these lessons once. They must be practiced repeatedly, turned over in the mind, and most importantly, written down, literally feeling them flow through the fingers. Thus, keeping a journal is Stoicism, and it's nearly impossible to have one without the other. 7. Amor fati. Love everything that happens. Great German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche coined his formula for human greatness as amor fati, the love of fate. When you wish for nothing to be different, neither before nor after, neither in all eternity. Not merely to endure what is necessary, still less to conceal it, but to love it. The Stoics were not only familiar with such an attitude but fully embraced it. 2,000 years ago, as he wrote in his personal journal known as the Meditations, Emperor Marcus Aurelius stated, "The blazing fire makes flames and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Another Stoic, Epictetus, a crippled slave who faced constant difficulties and misfortunes, echoed the same sentiment. Do not seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then you will be happy. That's why amor fati is an exercise and a Stoic mindset that you can apply to extract maximum benefit from everything that happens. It involves viewing each moment, regardless of its difficulty, as something to be accepted, not avoided. The goal is not only to accept what happens, but to love what happens and strive to become better because of it. Then, like oxygen to a fire, obstacles and adversities become fuel for your growth.